Hello, everybody, and welcome to the special Max Inc. radio interview. I'm Teri Barr, and our guest is the talented musician, Mr. Sam Ness. Hi, Sam.
Hello, hello. Thanks for having me on, Terry.
Oh, this is such a treat. How are you?
So well, it's a beautiful, beautiful day. Yeah, can't complain.
I think you kind of look at life that way every day, don't you?
I sure try to. There's moments, but I sure try to. Yeah.
I love when I get an email from you. You always sign off saying big love, and that
Yeah.
just makes me smile. You have no idea.
Well, I have so much appreciation and love for you and what you do. So
Oh,
it's meant wholeheartedly.
well, and just this whole positive idea, I'm sure, is keeping you moving forward. I want to ask you about the new CD and the release party you have coming up on July 23rd. It's a Saturday night at one of my favorite venues, Majestic Theater in Madison. Are you looking forward to it?
So much. I it's like every day I wake up and I'm like, man, what's the next thing to do for that show? I'm like so I'm home right now in Baraboo and I just came by for 10 minutes to pick up some more gear that came in the mail to add to my setup for the Majestic, and then I'm back on the road. And so it's like every day I'm just looking more and more, forward to that. So
We are too. I know you are on the road. You have been and you will be right up until that date at the Majestic
mhm.
on July 23rd. And you're promoting your first single off this new CD. I want to ask you about it. It's called Slow It Down. Tell me about this song.
Yeah, I wrote this song late in 2019,
Nice.
and I had just gotten back from this crazy run of shows. Um, I think it was like 3.5 weeks on the road, which isn't terribly crazy, but I think it was a show every night, and it was like middle of winter, and so I was sleeping in the van and trying to like make it through the night every night just to like wake up and get warm and take a nap before the next gig,
Ugh.
and then it really wore me down, and I was looking forward to obviously I love the road because like what I do, with all of every second of every bit of my time. um but yeah, I was looking forward to coming home and like taking a shower and sleeping in a real and warm bed, and
Yeah.
I was looking forward to seeing my dad and like just
Mm.
catching up with him and seeing how he's been, because when I'm on the road I don't always have a lot of time, or even if I do have the time, it's like the mental energy to like really wholeheartedly catch up with my friends and family and people that I care about. So
Yeah.
um, I just wanted to come back and see him and catch up. And I finish this run. I make my way home. I come in the door. He's on the couch, and I sit down. I'm like, "How you been? Yeah, good, good. Yeah, I'm good. All right, I'm gonna go answer emails." And I got up and left. And like,
Oh
and
my
so then like and then I got like halfway out the door because I was on the, always moving forward, always go, go, go.
God.
Like, what's the next best thing? What's the next right thing? And I got halfway out the door and I was like, what are you doing, you crazy person? Like, you've been looking forward to this. Like, do it, slow it down. And so I sat down and I wrote that tune.
Oh,
And it's about, the road and trying to maintain relationships while having a really crazy life. For summertime is usually my really crazy time, and
hmm.
that's usually everybody else's time off, and so they're like, let's get together, let's see each other, and I'm like, I'll see you in the fall. um,
Wow.
and I love it, I do, and I do get to see a lot of friends every night that are coming out to gigs. But the whole point of that song was like asking myself to be more in the moment, be more present with what I'm doing, instead of just trying to do the next thing to push my career, or push my tour schedule, or whatever.
Yeah.
So I wrote that in 2019, and then late 2019, and then that thing happened and everyone slowed down for quite a while.
Oh,
And
yes.
so I think I caused it. I
Oh, no.
think I
No,
think it's my fault.
no, no. I think that whole idea of slow it down is something we could all learn from. And I would have to guess after the last couple of years, many of us have learned how to do that because we had to. And now
Yeah,
it's become maybe a little more important in
yeah,
people's lives. So
yeah.
you're saying the words, and the rest of us are hopefully listening to what you're saying,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got to remind myself every day too.
Oh,
Um,
it can be difficult, especially when you are on a tour like you are on right now. And the interesting thing I'm already hearing about this song, um, it's going to be a hit. When you hear someone say that, what do you think?
I I don't know. I kind of have to like chuckle a little bit, giggle to myself because I I don't know. I guess when I write songs, it's more of like it's a therapy for me, and
Yeah.
it's always so personal. And I don't have, sorry, mosquito right in front of my face. I don't
Yeah, we should let people know you're actually outside doing this in case
yeah
they can hear birds or something. I love it.
yeah. Um, I write things that are personal as a means of therapy to just
Mhm.
get my thoughts out on paper. It helps me kind of cope with some things. But um, when that song, has an effect on other people, and they feel it too, then that just, it's like a bonus to me. Um, and then to say like, oh, so many people are gonna feel this or like this song, then um, yeah, it's just a bonus. It's kind of funny because it's not the reason I write, but it's the reason I have a career and a livelihood jamming out.
I'm so glad you do because, you write the words, but then you also deliver those words and the way you deliver them. I think that's what really hits people right in the heart. And that's really special to have all around those talents and to be able to do that for all of us.
Thank you.
So thank you. Oh my gosh, you've traveled the world. You have played and shared your music at festivals and fairs. Of course, you have been a busker on streets all around the world. But I guess my question, we've also seen you break down with your truck or your van. What keeps you going through all of this?
A lot of duct tape. Lot of-
You must have
I-
stock and duct tape now.
so much. Yeah. Um,
Oh my
no,
gosh.
it's I always so we released another tune just last week or the week before.
Okay.
Another tune off this album is called Press On. And that's really what, it's funny because they're kind of competing ideas, slow it down and press on. And I didn't
Ah,
realize that until I released this, and I was like, oh, interesting. I'm a conflicted person. But I had this dream in when I was in Scotland, and I in this dream I was told that, like, everything, all of the hopes and dreams and desires and anything that I would want my life to look like, is right there in front of me, and it's right in front of everybody else. And it's difficult to explain the dream, but the long and short of it is that I woke up from that dream and decided I was either playing music for living indefinitely or starving to death, whatever came first. And so it was, and so far so good. I got a little skinny a couple times, but I'm still rocking and rolling. And I just really um just pursued that vision, that dream,
yeah.
um nonstop ever since. And it's been every morning I wake up and I give myself about 15 minutes to get some water or coffee or whatever, and then it's like, what's the next thing I'm doing to push it along today?
Oh,
And sometimes that's, I'm gonna sit on the back porch and look at a tree for an hour and try to settle my thoughts so I can get back on the road and
mhm.
stay in the moment with people. But it's always with that goal in mind.
Oh, I love that. Manifesting it to make it happen,
Yeah.
Yeah. You are also quite the award winner. Most recently, you won the Male Vocalist of the Year and Unique Performer of the Year from the Madison Area Music Association. That is
Yeah.
super cool. But
Thank you.
what makes you the most proud of what you're doing?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I for me, it's the individual conversations with people, after shows, or people that maybe have heard a song for the first time, or for the 100th time, that just say, hey, this means something to me.
Mhm.
And the thoughts that you had, I have the same ones, or I feel like I really relate to this, or you've helped me through something. And kind of having that connection with people is, sometimes it's, I like to think of, blue collar working musician. um I'm not Elton John, but I'm, not, starving anymore. And so, um, it's really difficult to sometimes see the perspective. Like, I get so close to my craft, or to my, just watching things. It's hard for me to keep perspective of, like, am I actually making any difference? Am I actually reaching people? Do they notice? And so when people come up and they say, hey, we do see you, and
Oh,
you are, loved and appreciated, it just makes me feel like, okay, this is a safe, um you know place in my life to continue doing this. So,
yes.
uh yeah, that's what that I feel proud about, is having real connections with people.
Oh, yes. And we hope you never stop. So, but a lot of times people will say, "Well, how the heck did Sam get started?" And so I was digging, and I got to say your music career kind of started with show choir and theater. That
Yeah.
gives everybody hope. I was in show choir. I'm not a musician, but what a wonderful place to start. And you were well received from what I've been
Yeah.
reading.
Yeah, I was so fortunate. I went through Sauk Prairie High School, and it has such an incredible, family of a music department, and they're so supportive. And the teachers that I had were, just fantastic educators, and that made such a huge difference. And it wasn't just like the technique or the choreography. It was like the life lesson stuff. We had this poster that hung, and still hangs in the
Oh,
choir room in there in Sauk, and
yeah.
it's a poem by Janet Rand called Risk. And talks about how, without taking healthy risks, without sometimes pushing yourself farther than you're comfortable with, you're never going to grow, and you're never going to, um, reach any of the goals that you want to. And I think that it's funny because, as the director's working with a different section, or you're bored and you just zone out, and it was right behind the director. So when you zone out, that's what you zone out on. And so I kind of memorized
Oh.
that poem, and I always thought it was a thing just about music. Like, okay, sure, audition for more solos, or try something new, try to, yeah. But I realized as time went on, I was like, oh, that's a life thing, that's everything in life.
It
And
is.
so I started taking more and bigger risks, and more and bigger risks, and uh really found that as my lifestyle for a while. And yeah, it got a little addictive to take bigger and more exciting risks, until I found myself flying across the world to pursue a dream. So,
Well, and I wonder if this is something that not everyone may know about you when it comes to the theater part. I mean, you were in multiple plays and musicals. And, I did not know this about you until I recently read this, that you actually could have gone on to school to study theater, but you took that risk and you chose music. And I just
yeah.
love that.
Yeah, I had a hard time trying to figure out what the right path was, because
Oh,
I, was fortunate enough to have, a handful of doors open that could have
oh,
led to a lot of different places. And these cities that I was looking at potentially spending the next, few years in would,
yeah.
do I go to Nashville and try to be a singer-songwriter while studying theater, or do I go out to New York and just pursue theater wholeheartedly, or maybe some acting, or do I go out to LA and, and the more I thought about it, I was like, I don't know what I want to do. And I was like, I'm not going to invest this much, of my money and my time, if I'm not really sure what it is my dream is. So I kind of slept on it, and realized that I had been writing all these songs, um, through high school, about, that were inspired, Thoreau and Whitman and Leopold and Tolstoy and Gary
Mm,
Paulson and Jack London, all these guys. Like, I read so much of their literature, and
mhm.
was so inspired, and I kept writing all these songs about traveling and living rough and sticking out your thumb,
Yeah.
and just seeing where the wind blows. And I was like, I see a pattern, maybe I should listen to myself. And that's what I did.
Well, and
So
there's that
I
taking the risk again too. So,
Yeah. And theater, I think, will always have a really special place in my heart. And someday I
yeah.
would like to come back, even just for fun, to come back and see how that goes. But
Oh,
I thought, theater and acting is just taking your own experience and putting it and living it through another character. But what do you know, as a 17-year-old, I was like, I feel like I don't have enough life experience to actually fill these roles. So I figured, oh, I'll go get some life experience. And yeah, here we are.
Wow. Okay. So after all your travels and when you do decide to, just kind of say, hey, I'm going to do this for a little while, you're going to have a lot to share with people. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness. I think you could write a book as well.
I have been working on one. Yeah.
Oh, you heard it
And
here first, everyone.
I have, yeah. Slowly but
Oh,
surely. There's no kind of no end in sight for that. But
I'm
yeah,
so glad. And that could lead to the question of what's next for you, but it sounds like right now your main priority is to promote this new CD and get these new songs out there for all of us to enjoy.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And this new album is something that's really different than anything I've done in the past, with the first single and then with Press On coming out as well.
Yeah.
Um, they there's a little bit more grit to them than a lot of the stuff that I've put out in the past. It's way more full band and big drums and big electric guitars and screaming fiddle solos. Kenny Lizer from Old Soul Society is just shredding up and down this album. I had just so many amazing players on this where so the previous album, rewinding a little bit, was called The Cabin. I
Mhm.
locked myself in a cabin up in the Northwoods for most of the winter 2 years ago. When COVID did happen and I lost
Yeah.
all my shows and I couldn't tour through the winter, I thought, well, maybe it is time to slow down. So I did. I went up there and I recorded the Cabin album, and it was quiet. It was introspective. I hadn't stayed in one place for any more than 2-ish weeks for about 6 years, and it was a lot of just kind of letting that process while I stayed in one place for like 4 months. It was crazy. Um, I went back to the same cabin, and this time I brought some buddies. So we went up there.
Oh,
Over the course of the weekend, we from Friday to Sunday had we had the entire album laid down, and then it was kind of going back and adding bits and pieces that we wanted, and string sections and more auxiliary things. But it was just such a so much more energy. There was so much more like, okay, I got all the introspection out, what's next? And it's pushing down the road. It's the opening track is called Gravel Roads, and it's a song that I had recently or previously released as an acoustic track, but it's about um you know gravel roads and blistered toes gonna lead me home. That's the opening line, where it's I
oh.
have something to see out there. I want to go find it. And
Yeah.
that's the kind of main theme across this album.
Oh, I can't wait to hear all of it. And we can do that soon because your show's coming up really fast.
Yes, it is.
You have also, speaking of the show, Derek Ramnareis and Corey Matthew Hart doing some sets before you. So, I mean,
Yeah,
this is just a gangbusters show that
it's
I
a
think
super
people,
bill.
it
Yeah.
is. You don't get
And
that
so
kind of show that often.
yeah, Corey Matthew Hart from the band Lost Lakes, as
Yep.
well as so Derek is actually going to be there with his full band Old Soul Society.
Oh, that's
So
amazing.
and then to top it off, we have the one and only Mr. Mike Droho is going to be our MC that evening,
Oh my
and
gosh.
that guy is so funny and just such a wonderful guy. So we kind of snuck that in there without any promo, but uh, so it's going to be a lot of fun, and I feel like um, I have the pleasure of playing with Old Soul Society now and again. We share a lot of bills, and a lot of the folks that come out to their shows, I've gotten the pleasure of becoming friends with. So a lot of family, a lot of friends, a lot of just
Oh
good times
yeah.
that night.
Speaking of what a good time, if people listening have been holding out for a great show, here's the one I think that they should go to. That's my
This
recommendation.
is it.
Oh my goodness. Again, it's at Majestic Theater in Madison on Saturday, July 23rd. You have a lot of other shows coming up around this too, and many in Wisconsin right now. So, Sam, what do you think is the best way for all of us to keep up with you?
Yeah, I do have a website, www.samness.us, and that is, I do have a link on there that will go to my full tour lineup, and that is just a link through Facebook anyway. So
Oh,
if people want to, For all you folks out there, subscribe, all that stuff goes a really long way, and you can
Mhm.
stay in touch with what I'm doing. I just played show 81 of the year a few nights ago, and I'll be hitting about 170-ish this year.
Oh my
So I've
gosh,
got a lot more coming
congratulations.
up. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Okay, everybody, Sam Ness. My goodness, Sam. Thank you so much for your time in the middle
oh,
of
thank
this
you.
crazy business that you're in. Um, yeah, everybody, thanks to Sam Ness. Go see that show on July 23rd or check out his website for any of the other shows. He is all over Wisconsin and then all over the place after that. Thanks again, Sam.
Thanks for having me, Terry. I really appreciate
Oh,
it. Love you.
love you too. This is Max Inc. Radio, and we are local music.